Hi, and welcome to the 11th Muse on the Introvert Biz Growth podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. I'm Sarah Santacroce. I'm the host here at the Introvert Biz Growth podcast. And if you're new here, then first of all, hello and welcome. And second of all, I want you to know that this is not the usual format of my regular episodes. I post a new show every other Friday, and it's always a conversation with a fellow introverted entrepreneur who uses his or her introverted superpowers to make a difference. These shows are edited by Tim, my professional podcast editor, who also creates amazing show notes pages. But today's episode is a muse, which means unedited, raw content, no intro music, no bells and whistles. And I share these muses to make you think, to inspire you, to break the rules, and eventually to invite you to the gentle business revolution when it's ready. Today, I have a real treat for you, a conversation with a peak performance mindset coach. As you might know, in my new program, Anxiety-Free Marketing, we're really digging into the inner work in order to find out what makes us tick, what our values are, our superpowers. But we also look at what's holding us back, what we're afraid of and anxious about. And a common theme for introverts is related to limiting beliefs. Like, why do we undersell ourselves? Why do we have imposter syndrome and constantly think someone else is doing better than us? Well, that's some of the great stuff that we're talking about on today's Muse episode. So let me introduce my guest to you. Nina Cook is a peak performance mindset coach working with successful but stuck business owners and experts who are frustrated because in spite of all their hard work, they still aren't getting the results they want and deep down know they're capable of. Her superpower is digging deep to find the root cause of why they're struggling, and then showing them how they can clear out their subconscious gridlocks to leverage their thinking to create more profits, freedom, and success. Nina has been featured in Forbes magazine and on BBC Radio and lives in England. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Nina. Good morning, Nina. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Such a pleasure to having these calls in my time zone. Usually it's like I have to record them in the evening. You're in the UK, so this works out really well.
It's very easy, isn't it? Normally I do my calls from America as well, like you, and it's such a nice thing to be able to do it first thing in the morning.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm so excited to talk to you. You're the perfect guest for this Muse episode. We got introduced to via a previous guest, Rob, who introduced us. And I think I just found your podcast, and then we kind of decided that we were going to do these podcasts swaps because I thought, well, maybe I can be a guest on your show, and then we're like, well, you'd be a perfect guest for mine. So here we are. I want to talk to you about your expertise, and maybe you can start by sharing a bit about your work. I read the official bio in the intro, but give us a bit more the background story, how you got into your work and what it is you do today with your clients.
Of course. So the reason I got into this work is because as a child, I was very unconfident. I had very little confidence. I didn't feel I had any worth, any value. And this was because of, I thought at the time, because of my upbringing. And I thought this was all to do with how my parents were and how my sibling was with me. And I carried all of this lack of belief into my adult life. And it had a huge effect because I found it very difficult to speak up for myself. I found I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I didn't really like myself. And I always thought other people were better than me and they had something that I didn't have. And that was somehow inferior. As you can imagine, this had a big impact on my relationships, where I worked, I wasn't able to put myself forward for promotions. And although I did very well at work, I could have done a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had children, I would look at them when they were very young, and they would just have this amazing self-confidence. And I thought, I would really like to have that for myself. And a part of me knew that it was within me, but I just didn't have access to it. And another part of me also thought that I was broken, I needed to be fixed. And I started doing some personal development work. So start off by reading books, doing some courses, etc. And some of it was helping, some of it wasn't. And it was only when I found a way of getting rid of my limiting beliefs that things really changed fundamentally for me. So before, I was always pretending to be confident. I would be faking it. I would be bluffing it because sometimes situations needed that from me.
Right.
But I never felt that was really me. I never felt congruent. And when I worked with an expert in how to eliminate limiting beliefs, and when I realized this was the root cause of why I'd been feeling so that I wasn't good enough, that there was something wrong with me, that I needed fixing. When I realized that was the root cause for me, and by getting rid of those beliefs and other beliefs, I started actually believing that I had as much right to be here as everyone else, that I had as much right to take up as much space as everyone else, that what I said counted as much as everyone else, that I didn't have to have people agreeing with me. I didn't have to bend over backwards to please people, that it was okay to be who I was. And, I just started feeling much more confident in myself, and my belief in myself just grew. And it was almost as if I became aligned with who I was and with people and with the world. And I won't say it was suddenly a light bulb moment where everything changed. It changed cumulatively for me. And I started noticing that things which I've been very scared of, for example, in my work, putting my name on my website, putting my photo on my website, putting my work out there, and being visible online, putting out videos or blog posts, I started doing that. I started creating a video. And I remember the first time I made a video for my website, all I was thinking about was, how do I do this technically? And I wasn't worried about putting my work out there and people's reaction and their judgment. That wasn't bothering me. It was just like, how do I get the sound quality to work? How do I position the camera properly? Which were logistical issues.
Right.
I had the confidence to do it, and I knew everyone would like my work, and that was fine. So it was just being okay with all of that and accepting it. And it was just a massive turnaround in my thinking. And when I changed my thinking, then actually the reality I was seeing through my eyes changed completely. And it went from being a world where I didn't feel safe to a world, well, yeah, this is okay. Things are going to happen. Things will blindside me every now and then, but that's what life is all about. And it's not that's the issue. It's how I choose to respond to it. That's the issue. And I've had the confidence that I could respond in a measured way and get through everything that came into my life.
Right. Yeah, it's such a great place to be, rather than being in this place of anxiety, right?
Yes, a place of anxiety and fear. I realized I'd lived my life through fear of upsetting people, fear of being noticed, because if I was noticed, I might get into trouble, fear of being criticized and judged, fear of not living up to people's expectations. I'd lived my life through fear. I'd made my decisions through fear. And I can't say that everything is perfect, and that I don't have fearful thoughts, and I don't have resistance. I do, but it's stuff that I'm aware of now, and I can see where it's coming from, and then I know I can do something about it.
Right. Yeah. So in my new program called Anxiety Free Marketing, that's exactly also what we're working on, right? Because marketing to a lot of people in my audience gives them this feeling of anxiety. And when I put my program together, I realized exactly what you said. Well, a lot of that comes from inside of us, right? The last 10 years in my business, I've been focused on doing things. What I realized in the last 3 years is that it's all about being as well. So in this new program, I really try to combine the inner work, the being, with the outer work, which is the doing. So, for example, in module number 2, we're talking about our superpowers. But so this is kind of getting to know who you are, what your values are, what your strengths are, skills, etc. But we're also talking about blocks, challenges, and limiting beliefs. And this is really the essence of your work, and which is why I'm so grateful that you're here. So I'd like to dig a bit deeper into 2 or 3 of these topics, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, yes.
Wonderful. So let's start kind of with this anxiety. We already kind of mentioned it, but I think it's a big overarching theme. So anxiety or fear related to being seen in a big way. And obviously, if you're in a business, this has to do with marketing. So when people come to you with this fear of, having to show up, what's the work that you do together?
The work we do together is going deeper into why they're feeling anxious and why they have this fear of being visible and being seen. Mm-hmm. So I look at that, the fear or the anxiety of being visible. I see that as the tabletop, and then the legs of the table are the limiting beliefs that are causing this behavior. So the limiting beliefs around feeling anxious about being seen could be beliefs like it's scary to be visible. Mm-hmm. People don't want to hear what I have to say. The fear of rejection. So these are different fears that I will find with each individual client. And the limiting beliefs, and I'm sure your listeners know all about limiting beliefs, but for me, they are so-called truths that we believe to be true about ourselves, that we feel are part of our identity and that we can't do anything about those things. But in fact, those limiting beliefs are actually big fat lies. They are lies that we've innocently concluded to be true about ourselves. Most of them will be the self-esteem beliefs, will be beliefs we formed in the first 6 years or so in our lives, when we were just sponges. We were taking on board everything that people were saying about us, around us. We were observing, coming to conclusions about why, for example, a young child may her parents may be too busy to play with her. This may happen regularly. So she may start thinking, why are they too busy to play with me? Oh, it's because I'm not important. Mm-hmm. She forms that limiting belief, and then she carries that into her adult life and keeps looking for more and more evidence that she's not important. If you believe you're not important, then you're not going to feel comfortable or confident about putting your work out there, about putting out your services, your the way that you see the world, your offerings, because you're worried that people aren't going to be interested, or they may criticize you, or they may not agree with you, and then there could be repercussions and there could be consequences which you don't want to face. Therefore, it's much easier to play small and stay under the radar. But if you look, so I say to my clients, is this serving you? How is it serving you? And of course it's not, which is why they come to do the work. But the interesting thing is there's always an upside to staying invisible. What are they getting out of it? How is it serving them? And most of the time it'll be because it keeps me safe. So that's another limiting belief. That's another lie, that staying invisible or playing small is keeping you safe. Because I believe that we are here to thrive. That is the reason we're here. We're here to play big, not in an arrogant, selfish way, but in order to serve. We're here to serve as many people as possible, the highest possible level, to make a real impact in our work, and obviously to have a successful business as well. That goes with it. But if we do want to serve at the highest level, we're not going to do it by playing small. In the work that I do, if you speak to most people who are playing small, they'll say, well, I know it's not serving me, and they know it at the rational level, but that doesn't work. Because you can keep saying affirmations and keep saying every morning, I know that I'm here to serve in a bigger way, and I'm going to get out there, I'm going to put my work out there in a bigger way. At the end of the day, nothing's changed. You're just beating yourself up. The change has to be made, I think, at the experiential level, at the unconscious level. Because when you make change at that level, then you don't have to use willpower or determination to keep that change in place. It just automatically kicks in. And then your rational mind is picking up from your subconscious, is saying, actually, it's okay to put my work out there. It's okay to make videos. It's okay to put out blog posts. It's okay to talk to my lists. It's okay to do a talk on a stage, because I truly believe, I'm passionate about what the work that I do. And some people aren't going to agree with me, and that's okay. That's perfectly safe. But while some people resonate with me and they'll want to know more about it, and that's great. So there's no resistance to doing it. There's only an upside. And if things don't work out, say you put out an offer, maybe you're launching a new program and you don't get as many people signing up for it as you want to, that doesn't mean anything about you. That doesn't mean you're a loser. That means it's never going to work for you. It's just, what can you take from this? What can you learn from this event to move forward? So it's that sort of mindset that I can take big, bold action. Some of it will work, some of it won't. Some people will agree, some people won't. And that's okay, because I'm just so passionate about what I do and I believe in it. I'm putting out my best work with great integrity. And that's all good.
Yeah, wow. There's so much in there that I want to underline and kind of comment on. So the first thing you said, it's it's okay to show up. It's okay that some people will like what I share and others won't. That's exactly it, because you're going to be doing it your way, right? I think a big result out of doing this work is really realizing that you are so unique, and it's great to show up in your uniqueness and not having to always compare to others. And that's another topic I want to ask you about, but kind of like, just showing up and trusting in your uniqueness, right?
Yeah, that's a brilliant point, because we are unique. Each one of us has unique thinking. There are over 7 billion people on earth, and each one of us has unique thinking. There are no two people who have exactly the same thinking. And we have this amazing gift of free thought, of unique thought. So even if you look around in your niche and say, well, there are a lot of people doing what I do, the wonderful thing is no one is doing it exactly like you. Right. You are promoting your service. You are serving your clients in a completely unique way. And you can't help it because you have unique thinking.
Right.
It's just a given. So we can spend so much time and energy comparing ourselves with other people who we believe are more successful, who are getting better results, or maybe getting quicker results than us, or have more people in their program. And we can exhaust ourselves and really feel that, what's the point of doing my work? Because someone else is doing it better than me. They're going to be attracting the clients and I won't be heard. But that's not true, because there are people who will resonate with your message more than someone who may be more successful than you. There is plenty of space for everyone in this world. There are plenty of clients to go around. So this feeling of scarcity and lack, it's just a made up thought. It's not really true, because there are business owners here who don't believe there's a scarcity and lack. And if it was a universal truth, we would all be feeling the same. So it's not, it is something which is a thought that's coming from within you. And it's almost, I would say, if you have a gift that helps to transform clients' lives, why would you keep that hidden? Why not go out there and help as many people as possible and be paid well for doing it? It's just a win-win for everyone. So thinking about competition and worrying about them is such a tremendous waste of energy and time. And I've worked with very successful business owners, and many of them, they're putting out this facade that everything is perfect in their lives, because that's how they have to be seen in order to build their brand. But when you actually look under the bonnet, some of them are struggling at a deep level, but they can't let anyone see that. So what you see of someone's outside is not always the real true picture. And I read somewhere that don't compare your insides with someone's outside, because it's like comparing apples and oranges. It's not a true comparison.
Yeah, that is so deep, and it's true. We work on that whole comparitis as well, because I think it's a big topic in marketing as well, because we keep seeing everybody else's message, and they're doing Facebook Lives. Oh, so I should be doing Facebook Lives. They're doing webinars and filling them with hundreds of people. Oh, they're doing much better, and just kind of, first of all, realizing that your definition of success might not be the same one as someone else's. I think that already helped me, really kind of just say, I'm just doing my thing. And my definition of success is probably not like the same as someone else's. For me, freedom is really important. And so, that might not be the same for someone else. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, what you said is like, yeah, who says that they're so successful? You're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. And then underneath, there's a whole other, side to it where maybe they're not as happy as they pretend to be. So very important lesson there about, comparing and imposter syndrome and all of that. I want to go back to what you mentioned about affirmations, because there's this whole other movement, the positive thinking and affirmations movement. And I'd like to go into, comparing your work maybe to this positive affirmations movement. So what is different, and what do you think needs to be done on the deeper level, maybe in combination with doing affirmations? I'm not completely against affirmations. I think I have a mantra, right, that I write on my daily planner every day. I think they're still there to support us, but I do agree with you that there needs to be some deeper work as well. So what's your opinion about that?
I'm not against affirmations at all. I think they can be amazing. For me personally, when I started doing my personal development work and I was saying affirmations, I was writing them, they didn't have much impact for me personally, but they may work brilliantly for other people. So I'm not knocking them at all. And I think they can be amazing. When I was doing my affirmations, my inner critic would be kicking in and saying, oh, but that's not going to work. Oh, but that's not true. Oh, but can you remember when that happened? And, look at the evidence, that, things aren't getting better and better every day, etc. So for me, that inner critic kept kicking in with me. So the affirmations didn't work so well for me. For me and for my clients, it has been the deeper work where it takes place on the experiential level, at the feeling level, where you can really feel the change. So when you go from believing I'm not good enough to believing actually I am good enough, I'm as good as everyone else, of course, that's the truth about me. When you get that fundamental shift inside of you, then that is the work that stays in place. That's a permanent change. Affirmations are brilliant, as you said, writing them on your daily planner, when you're doing your morning routine, if you're doing some personal development work before you start work every morning, which I like to do. They are brilliant. And, saying positive things as you're going through your day is so much more powerful than saying negative things to you. So, of course, they're really important.
Right.
For me, what I love to do, rather than say affirmations, I love to lavish gratitude on things during the day, and I will be grateful for everything. When I remember, I sometimes forget. I get into that negative spiral of thinking. But what I'm pretty good at is, because my awareness is so high around my thinking, is I'm able to pull myself quite quickly out of a negative thinking spiral and say, okay, focus on what I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I can look around me and see tens of things that I'm grateful for. I can look at my computer screen and say, what an amazing thing I have here. I can do my work. I can be mobile around the house. I can take my laptop with me and work in any room in the house. I've got so much information on here. Look at the pen, look at the paper. I can write. What a gift I have of being able to write and read. So immediately, as soon as I start feeling grateful for what I have around me, and it doesn't have to be big things. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'll be really grateful when I book in that client. It can just be anything you see through your eyes right now. It can be the color of my jumper. It can be absolutely anything. And that brings me into the present moment, and that shifts my mood. And I carry on doing this grateful exercise until I get a smile on my face. And when I get a smile on my face, then that's it. I've cooked in some really good feeling. I've banked some good feelings, if you like. And that is something that really helps me personally to keep being appreciative of what's around me. Affirmations, absolutely brilliant. If they work for you, carry on doing them. And I think they do play a part. But for me, the deep work of changing your beliefs at your subconscious level, that's the work for me and my clients that's made a huge difference in terms of our businesses, our relationships, how confident we feel in ourselves and our own self-belief.
As I'm listening to you, I realize, I think the reason why not more people are doing this deep work is because it's painful. It's much more painful than just, repeating affirmations every day. It is going deep and, like you said, go to the emotional level. And so these old stories will come up, and until you digest them or let them go, you have to feel. And I think that's what some people maybe shy away from, or they think they don't have to do it in order to get the results. So, what do you think?
The method that I use to get rid of limiting beliefs is not painful at all. It's a very easy technique that I trained in because it worked for me, and I can only use those techniques that have worked on me on my clients because I have to believe in them 100%. And it's not painful at all. You can get rid of a limiting, excuse me, you can get rid of a limiting belief in 15, 20 minutes without having to go deeply into the past at all, because the technique just takes you through it step by step. It's very logical. There is nowhere for the truth to hide. The truth has to come out at the end of the exercise about who you truly are, the magnificence of who you are. And the other thing I think we do as business owners is we tend to rush past our thinking because we're so busy doing. As you said, we're doing and not being enough.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're busy doing, then we're working on the next activity, the next strategy. We're maybe buying a new program, we're implementing, maybe taking on a new team member. We're doing. But we don't stop to think about our thinking. We rush past that very, very important thing. And as we know, every activity you do starts with a thought. So if your thinking is at a level that you're not happy with because it's not giving you the results that you want, then go back to the root cause of your behavior, which is your thinking, and look at that and do your work on your thinking, because that will change your behavior. So rather than keep on doing the same thing which isn't working for you, chasing down the next shiny object, then just stop and become aware of what you're thinking, because that is driving everything in your life. It's your most powerful, amazing asset, your thoughts. Nothing compares in this world to your thinking, and we don't pay much attention to it. And if people were to be able to take some time out to focus on their thinking and even write down, just do a brain dump of your thinking, write it down, and you will start seeing limiting beliefs in your thinking. Mm-hmm. And then you have the opportunity to do something about that. You can do a brain dump and say, okay, that's what I'm doing, and then just carry on with what you were doing. That's absolutely fine. But if you were to see exactly what you're thinking, you would be amazed at the amount of negative, critical talk you have about yourself, which you wouldn't say to anyone else ever. And yet you say it to yourself. And that is what's driving your results.
Yeah, so true. I've taken this training called Train Your Brain, and it's amazing. Yeah, it's just, and once you do this kind of work, you're being so much more aware. You're still doing the negative thinking, but you're more aware of it more quickly, and you're like, oh, yeah, there's the negative Nelly again. Let's change that thought into something more positive. Yeah, wow. We could keep going and going, but I see the time is almost up. So I want to just celebrate you and appreciate you so much for coming on, Nina. This has been truly helpful. What would be one thing? I know we mentioned all kinds of different techniques, but if you only had one thing you could share, where would you tell people to start with?
I would tell people to start looking for evidence of what's going right for them. So if they're worried about their business in any way, maybe they don't have as many clients, maybe they're not feeling confident about putting their message out there, maybe they believe that they can't really help people, maybe they worry about the income that they're getting, to just look at the evidence of how much great work they've already done. So whether it's, pulling together testimonials, looking at their testimonials, looking at that time when they helped someone, whatever it is, just get that in front of you, so you know that there is evidence that you're doing great work. And when you have that evidence in front of you, use that to get the momentum in your business to do the next thing. And this is something which sounds so simple, but because we have limiting beliefs, we're always looking for evidence to back up our limiting beliefs. So if we believe that no one's going to pay us that much, therefore there's no point charging that much, we have to maybe give discounts, then you're going to keep looking for evidence of when a client asked for a discount or when they said it was too much. So look for evidence of when a client paid what you wanted them to pay and the result that they got working with you. Look for evidence when you've paid someone to be your coach and the result that you got. So you know that this works. You know that coaching works. You know that consulting works. Keep looking for evidence and seeing that this is how you can this is how you can start thinking, how you can start changing your thinking. And you will be amazed when you start making that switch based on evidence, how far that can take you.
Yeah. I want to just read a quote that I have sitting here on my desk. It goes like this: set a goal so big that you can't reach it until you become the person who can. I have this as a reminder to really work on the being and not always push more and not always do more, right? I think that's a good way to end our conversation. Nina, thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you? Tell them where they can find you.
Well, they can come to my website, which is www.ninacook.co.uk. And there is free training there, which is how to smash through your income glass ceiling, which is a little video course that put together that helps you to start looking at why you're thinking of the way that you do and how you can change your thinking to start getting bigger results in your life, to start raising your internal financial set point. And so free training and bite-sized videos, so please come along and do the training and let me know how it is for you. I love getting emails, so let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. So come over there, and it would be lovely to to meet you and help you with any challenges that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Nina.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed listening to this conversation with Nina as much as I enjoyed recording it. Thanks so much for listening in. I'm just finishing the first beta group for anxiety-free marketing now, and I'll be ready to launch the Gentle Business Revolution this May, hopefully. So as we get closer, I'll let you know how you can get involved. For now, just please subscribe to the podcast if you enjoyed today's episode, and stay tuned. Thank you so much. Wishing you a wonderful week. Take care.